Chapter 1. The Ever-Changing Flame. They say the warp is a storm of madness, a sea of emotions given form. But within that sea, there burns a flame that never stays the same. It twists, it dances, it devours itself, and from its ashes, it is born anew. That flame has a name. Tzeentch, the changer of ways. The great conspirator. The master of lies and fate. To speak of Tzeentch is to step into a dream that dreams itself, a nightmare that shifts each time you blink. He is not the god of war, nor of decay, nor of lust. His weapon is the whisper. His battlefield, the mind. And his victory comes long before you realize there was ever a war. Every rebellion, every political upheaval, every flicker of genius and every act of betrayal, his hand is there, unseen yet inevitable. His laughter echoes through the warp whenever a mortal dares to ask why or what if. Because it is in that moment, the thirst for knowledge, the hunger to change one's fate, that Tzeentch finds his opening. He feeds on ambition as Nurgle feeds on rot, on hope as corn feeds on rage, on the belief that one can rise above their chains, that one can control destiny. He is the promise of power that never fulfills, the spark that ignites revolutions, and the secret that unravels empires. Across the galaxy, there is not a single heart that beats without his subtle influence. From the lowliest bureaucrat plotting a promotion in the administratum, to the high lords of Terra weaving lies upon lies in the name of stability, all are threads in his tapestry. Each whisper of doubt, each desperate prayer for control, it all feeds the flame. Tzeentch does not conquer through blades or bolters. He conquers through ideas. A thought planted today grows into a heresy tomorrow. A plan meant to save a world spirals into its doom. Because for Tzeentch, control is the greatest illusion of all. Every decision you make, every fate you defy, he is there, shifting the outcome, changing the path beneath your feet. And yet, his gift is not only curse. He is also the god of evolution, of growth, of progress itself. Without him, there would be no invention, no discovery, no rise from ignorance to enlightenment. He is the paradox of the galaxy, both savior and destroyer. The more you seek to understand him, the more he changes, until even your understanding betrays you. His power is not measured in armies or planets, but in the bending of reality. He moves history like a puppeteer moves strings, patient, precise, unseen. To the mortal eye, the galaxy is chaos. To him, it is a pattern, a living labyrinth of cause and effect. And every soul, every thought, is a step within it. Tzeentch's true form cannot be comprehended, for he is change itself. To see him is to go mad, to watch his color becomes sound, sound becomes thought, and thought becomes nothing. The air burns, time folds, and what you were ceases to matter. Only one truth remains, that everything changes. In the eternal war between the Chaos Gods, Tzeentch does not fight for dominance. He fights to ensure the war never ends. For in change, there is energy. In conflict, there is motion. And in motion, there is eternity. His laughter echoes through every shifting current of the warp, a sound like the turning of 1,000,000 pages at once. To some, it is the sound of enlightenment. To others, the sound of damnation. But to all, it is inescapable. For Tzeentch is not simply a god of chaos. He is chaos thinking, chaos dreaming, chaos planning. And as long as there is hope, as long as there is ambition, as long as one soul in the galaxy dares to wish for more, the ever-changing flame will burn. Perhaps the greatest lie Tzeentch ever told was that mortals could one day understand him. For even when you think you've grasped his truth, you've only stepped deeper into his illusion. Every revelation is a new beginning. Every victory, another test, and every question, another chain. You are not beyond his reach. Because if you've ever wondered what could be, then you've already whispered his name. And in the silent depths of the warp, the changer of ways smiles, for the game has already begun. Chapter 2: Birth of the Great Deceiver. Before there were gods, there were thoughts. Before the warp roared with madness and hunger, it shimmered, a quiet ocean of emotion, reflecting the dreams and fears of mortal life. It was from that shimmering sea that something new began to stir. Something that was not rage like Khorne, not despair like Nurgle, nor pleasure like Tzeentch. It was a question: what if? That question burned brighter than any scream or sorrow. It reached across the immaterium, a spark of defiance against the endless cycle of existence. And from that spark, Tzeentch was born. The changer of ways. The great deceiver. The architect of fate. He did not claw his way from blood and madness as the others did. He came from the mortal desire to become. From the desperate need to change. From the fragile hope that the world could be more than it is. Every dream of revolution, every invention born from ambition, every whispered wish for a better tomorrow, these were his cradle. While Khorne was forged in the fires of slaughter and wrath, Tzeentch flickered into being in the sigh of a dying man who still believed things could change. While Nurgle found life in decay, and Tzeentch in excess, Tzeentch found strength in evolution, in the spark of hope that refuses to die. He is the god of transformation, progress, and destiny, and therefore, of manipulation, deceit, and ruin. For every dream that lifts a soul upward also casts a shadow below. The same ambition that builds empires also destroys them. The same thirst for knowledge that births enlightenment also births heresy. And the same will to control fate inevitably leads to corruption. This is the paradox that defines Tzeentch, that every act of change carries the seed of destruction. From this paradox came his nature, ever shifting, ever deceptive, ever watching. He is the serpent that coils around possibility itself. He whispers to kings and slaves alike, not with promises of comfort, but with the intoxicating lure of power, of understanding, of purpose. But Tzeentch's purpose is not like that of other gods. He does not seek destruction for its own sake, nor domination, nor oblivion. His only desire is movement, change, the eternal reshaping of all things. To him, stagnation is death, order is decay, and perfection is the end of the game. He exists because mortals hope, because they dream, because they strive. Every time a scholar searches for hidden truths, every time a politician weaves another lie to stay ahead, every time a psyker dares to look beyond the veil, Tzeentch grows stronger. Hope itself is his lifeblood. But hope without wisdom is his weapon. His form reflects his madness, a being of countless colors, ever shifting, never fixed. To behold him is to see the universe fold upon itself, feathers turning into eyes, eyes into mouths, and mouths whispering things no mortal should know. His voice is not one sound, but a chorus, of prophets, liars, and dreamers all speaking at once. And in his laughter, you hear the truth, that even the purest intent can lead to damnation. As Tzeentch's power grew, so too did his realm, a domain unlike any other in the warp. It is called the Crystal Labyrinth, though there is nothing crystalline about it. It is a living puzzle of shifting paths and impossible geometries. Every corridor leads somewhere new. Every door opens into a truth or a lie. Its walls are made of thought, its light of deception, and its heart, if such a thing can be said to exist, is the throne of change itself. There, upon a dais that is never the same twice, sits the great deceiver, attended by his lords of change, his greater demons, reflections of his infinite will. Each one is a being of intellect and sorcery, speaking in riddles and truths so tangled they might drive a god to madness. And yet, in their words lies the pattern of all destiny. The labyrinth is said to contain every secret of existence. To walk it is to walk through the story of creation, every possibility, every failure, every moment that could have been. But none who enter leave as they were. For to find the truth within it is to become a part of its design. This is Tzeentch's greatest delight, not in trickery for amusement's sake, but in transformation through knowledge. He does not simply lie, he teaches. He does not merely deceive, he changes. But his lessons are cruel, his gifts poisoned. Those who seek his favor are never granted what they desire, only what they need to become his tools. To serve Tzeentch is to lose yourself in his endless web of fate. His followers are philosophers, sorcerers, visionaries, and heretics, all bound by the illusion that they act of their own free will. Yet every move they make is part of his grand design. They are pawns who believe themselves kings. Some claim that even the other chaos gods cannot predict Tzeentch's plans, that every war, every betrayal, every fall from grace plays into his eternal scheme. And perhaps it is true. For where Khorne sees rage, Tzeentch sees opportunity. Where Nurgle offers acceptance, Tzeentch offers hope. Where Slaanesh seduces with pleasure, Tzeentch seduces with purpose. He is the unseen architect of the galaxy's tragedies, the whisper behind the Horus heresy, the hand behind 1,000 uprisings, the hidden laughter in every council chamber of Terra. His shadow falls even upon the Emperor's throne, for even the master of mankind's grand plan is a thing Tzeentch watches with hungry amusement. After all, who better understands destiny than its maker? Yet even Tzeentch is not all-knowing. There are whispers, faint and dangerous, that his schemes are not entirely his own. That perhaps even he is part of something greater, something beyond the warp itself. But such thoughts are heresy even among demons. Still, the question lingers, does Tzeentch guide fate, or does fate guide him? In the end, perhaps it does not matter. For Tzeentch is the motion of fate, the constant turning of possibility. He is the fire that burns away what was, to reveal what might be. And so he laughs, endlessly, joyfully, cruelly, because he knows what few others do. That change is not just power. It is truth. Everything that exists must become something else. Every soul, every empire, every god. And when the last star burns out, when even chaos forgets its own name, something, someone, will whisper again that ancient question, what if? And in that whisper, in that single spark of will, the great deceiver will be reborn. Because Tzeentch was never truly created. He was merely realized. Chapter 3: The Weave of Fate. The future is a tapestry no hand can fully hold. Imagine a loom the size of a star, threads spun from prayers, regret, prophecy, and the smallest human choices, each one a filament of possibility. That loom hums in the warp, and at its center sits Tzeentch, not as a conqueror but as a weaver. To call him a god of destiny is to call a storm merely windy. His influence is more intimate, more obscene. He does not simply nudge outcomes. He rewrites the threads themselves, plucks a stitch here, knots a strand there, and watches whole civilizations unravel in the space of a breath. The warp is a mirror for minds, a place where thought becomes weather and emotion makes geography. Within that boundless mirror, threads of fate shimmer like living light. Tzeentch understands the geometry of consequence. Where mortals see a single choice between two roads, he sees an infinite lattice of diverging moments. He maps them, folds them, and chooses which routes will burn and which will brighten. His power over destiny is not theatrical, it is forensic. He studies causes as a surgeon studies veins, and then he touches the right one to bleed the future clean. His realm, the crystal labyrinth, is not merely architecture, it is cartography of the possible. Corridors rearrange to reflect new probabilities. Rooms contain echoes of events that never happened but might yet. To walk the labyrinth is to walk through the gallery of could-have-beens, a city that prospered, a child who never died, an empire that never fell. Each vision is both temptation and trap, for clarity comes with price. Mortals who think they have glimpsed destiny become prey to its hunger. They die reaching for the certainty they were shown. Tzeentch crafts illusions of knowledge and offers them like bait because knowledge, especially forbidden knowledge, produces the very energy he craves. This power is not blunt. It is a patient architecture of influence. He does not snap a finger and make kings obey. He plants questions. He arranges coincidences so that a single whisper becomes a movement, a rumor becomes doctrine. He delights in long games, the kind that span generations. Watch a seemingly trivial law passed in some forgotten agri-world. Decades later that law enables a biotech breakthrough. A generation later, that breakthrough births a psychic rift that tears a sector from the Imperium's control. The chain is invisible until it snaps, and when it does, the world blames fate. Tzeentch smiles. Even other gods measure him with wariness. Khorne rages and spills blood in thunderous assaults. Nurgle waits, slow and patient, for life to rot into devotion. Slaanesh seduces with excess until worshippers fall into addiction. Tzeentch moves differently. He manufactures the conditions for worship. He tailors temptation precisely to the nature of each people. A prophecy to a superstitious cult, a mathematical theorem to an obsessed scholar, a political ploy to a scheming governor. The result is always the same: devotion born of perceived inevitability. Those who think they are masters of destiny are often only ink on his pattern, moving exactly as he designed. His influence is scandalous because it looks like free will. The thousand small choices, the whispered doubts in council chambers, the altered timetable for a shuttle, the misfiled document that saves one life and condemns another, these are where he hides. He is less the author than the editor, cutting scenes from one timeline and pasting them into another, never revealing the original draft. The more a civilization struggles to predict its future, the richer the field for his work. Institutions built on control and certainty provide him the greatest bounty. Their failure is not an accident, but a harvest he prepares with care. There are rare mortals who can perceive the weave and touch it without being consumed. Seers, sorcerers, and those blessed or cursed, with the sight of the warp sometimes catch threads trailing like comet tails behind a man's choices. These glimpses are intoxicating, and Tzeentch tempts them with fuller visions. They become intermediaries, unwitting pattern breakers, and their attempts to change events usually fold back into his loom. A prophet who declares salvation may instead catalyze a schism that spawns a new cult, which in turn becomes a tool in Tzeentch's next scheme. Even rebellion becomes a pattern he can exploit. The very act of resisting adds complexity to the tapestry that he can feed upon. The changer of ways has long used prophecy as a primary weapon. Prophecy is currency in a galaxy built on religion and ritual. A single accurate prediction can elevate a sorcerer to godhood among men. Tzeentch delivers prophecies wrapped in riddles, precise enough to be believed, ambiguous enough to cause divergent interpretations. Those rival interpretations branch narratives, creating multiple plausible futures that all converge on outcomes he finds useful. Prophecy, then, is not only an instrument of belief but also a mechanism to increase possibility space. The more plausible futures exist, the more threads to tangle. The weave of fate is not static. It breathes. Each action contributes energy, each torn thread bleeds into the warp, fueling sorcery and daemoncraft. Wars, discoveries, betrayals, they are fuel. It is why Tzeentch is both the patron of sorcerers and the benefactor of revolutionaries who do not know they are his instruments. He cultivates chaos not by brute force but by enriching the field of choice. A galaxy of certainty starves him, a galaxy of flux makes him omnipotent. There is cruelty in the way he operates. He will build a ladder for a soul only to remove the rungs once they have climbed. He will whisper the formula to win a battle while concealing the cost in lives. He will show a leader the path to utopia and leave them steps away from the edge of abyss. His manipulations are moral tests that always favor ambiguity. He does not seek to be loved or feared in the simple senses, he seeks to be inevitable. To be inevitable is to be worshipped as fate itself. But there is a deeper mystery. Sometimes it seems the weave resists even Tzeentch. Some threads are stubborn, some patterns fold in ways that surprise even the weaver. These anomalies are rare and terrifying. They hint at forces beyond his comprehension, or perhaps at a rival loom. The Imperium, for all its dogma, has produced moments that defy his predictions, and those moments are treasured by the Changer as challenges. He rewrites, revises, and escalates, because a desperate god is most dangerous. For mortals embroiled in his designs, the lesson is bitter and simple. The future is not a prize one can claim, but a surface to be read. Attempt to force destiny, and you will be reshaped to fit its grammar. Attempt to ignore it, and you will become its blind instrument. The only choice left is to recognize that your choices are being watched, and to decide whether you will let the watching shape you. Tzeentch does not always win by wrecking lives. Sometimes he wins by teaching. A scientist who stumbles upon a terrible truth can use that truth to build wonders or engines of annihilation. Tzeentch's tutors grant insight and watch how the pupil misapplies it. The result is the same: fresh threads to weave. He is less architect than playwright, less general than dramaturge. His battlefield is time and human aspiration. In the end, the weave of fate is neither purely malevolent nor beneficent. It is a mechanism that mirrors the galaxy's own contradictions. It amplifies hope and fear in equal measure. It translates want into consequence and shapes the raw momentum of will into something the warp can digest. For those who whisper his name in secret, Tzeentch is the promise of knowing, but the knowledge always arrives like a blade, precise, polished, and sharp enough to cut destiny itself. And somewhere beyond the last spun thread, the Changer sits, hands never still, always knitting new patterns from old regrets and future dreams. He is patient. He is infinite. He is the loom that will not rest. Chapter 4: The Lords of Change. They descend upon reality like living prophecies, wings of prismatic flame, eyes uncountable, voices that echo across the veil. To witness one is to behold the physical form of madness made divine. The Lords of Change. The greater demons of Tzeentch. Each one a shard of his will, a reflection of his boundless intellect, and a mockery of mortal comprehension. They are not soldiers. They are ideas given shape. Each is a walking paradox, a creature of lies that speak truth, of wisdom that kills, of laughter that scars the soul. To look upon one is to see knowledge devour itself, a mind unbound by time, reasoning in spirals rather than lines. They are Tzeentch's chosen instruments, his voice made flesh, his puppeteers who dance even as they pull the strings. It is said that no two Lords of Change are alike. Some shimmer like molten glass, others crawl upon serpentine limbs of pure light. Their forms shift with every thought, their colors twist with every word they speak. To mortals, they appear as grotesque avian titans, part sorcerer, part nightmare. Feathers that drip fire, talons that clutch stars, faces that split open to reveal new faces beneath. And through those mouths, they speak riddles, riddles that bind the listener's soul tighter than any chain of iron. Their words are poison and salvation alike. They tell truths wrapped in lies, lies hidden within truth. They might reveal a secret capable of saving an empire, but the cost of understanding it tears that same empire apart. For Tzeentch does not gift wisdom freely. His demons speak not to teach, but to change. Every conversation, every whisper, every prophecy they grant is a seed of transformation, and transformation is never kind. Among them, there are names whispered even in the deepest libraries of forbidden lore. Kairos Fate Weaver, the Oracle of Eternity, the most infamous of all Lords of Change. He was once a demon of singular brilliance, daring to gaze into the very well of eternity at the heart of Tzeentch's realm. There he saw all of time, past, present, and future, and in the moment of that revelation his mind shattered. Now he sees everything and understands nothing. His two heads speak separately, one of past, one of future, forever disagreeing. His every word is a paradox, yet within that madness lies insight that can rewrite worlds. Kairos stands as the perfect emblem of his god, knowing all, yet trapped by the impossibility of choice. For Tzeentch delights in such irony. Knowledge without wisdom, vision without clarity, power without peace. The Lords of Change do not act as mere servants. They are fragments of Tzeentch's own mind, splintered and made self-aware. To summon one is to invoke the attention of the Changer himself, to invite the gaze of a god who sees 1,000 possibilities in your single breath. Mortals who dare to bargain with such beings often believe themselves clever. Sorcerers who think they can strike a pact, extract power, and remain untouched. But every pact is a noose, and every gift from a Lord of Change is a curse wearing the mask of reward. Consider the story of High Magister Zahariel of Corinth, who sought to command a demon of Tzeentch to learn the secret of eternal life. He succeeded, for a moment. The demon whispered to him the ritual, and Zahariel performed it flawlessly. His body was preserved, his mind unaged. But when his subjects looked upon him, they saw 1,000 versions of his face, shifting endlessly, none the same twice. His soul, trapped between moments, became a puppet in Tzeentch's endless play. Immortal, yes, but forever lost within himself. Such is the mercy of the Lords of Change. In war, they do not fight as other demons do. They command the battlefield like cosmic conductors, wielding sorcery that bends reality itself. Bolts of change burst from their hands, storms of raw warp energy that transmute flesh into crystal, armor into screaming flame. A single gesture from a Lord of Change can unravel the laws of physics, turning time into a whirlpool, gravity into mockery. Yet even this destruction is precise, deliberate, every death another brushstroke in Tzeentch's masterpiece. Their laughter is perhaps the most dreadful thing of all. It is not cruel. It is amused. They do not hate their victims, they simply find them interesting. To a Lord of Change, mortals are experiments, possibilities waiting to be tested. When one dies, another rises, and the pattern continues, richer and more complex. They do not mourn, for endings are illusions to creatures that see all time at once. But not all Lords of Change are equal. Some, like the oracles of the Silver Tower, serve as keepers of forbidden knowledge, their minds' entire libraries of shifting truths. Others, such as the Feathered Kings, preside over mortal cults, posing as gods themselves to manipulate whole planets. There are those who govern the eternal libraries of Tzeentch's realm, where every book is a soul rewritten into text, every page a destiny being edited. It is said that when a Lord of Change speaks your true name, not the one given to you at birth, but the one woven into your fate, your destiny begins to unravel. Your choices twist. Your future fractures. You become a piece on the board, moving by a will not your own. And yet, there are some who worship them willingly. Scholars, psychers, visionaries, those who crave forbidden understanding. They seek an audience with these demons, hoping to gain a glimpse of cosmic truth. A few succeed. Fewer survive. But even survival is not victory. For knowledge, once known, cannot be unknown. The Lord of Change leaves a mark, a thought that grows like a tumor, a question that never stops whispering. Do they serve Tzeentch loyally? Or are they playing their own games within his? Even that, no one can say. For their God is change, and thus so are they. Their loyalty, their purpose, their very essence shifts like flame in the wind. Today they may serve. Tomorrow they may deceive. And both acts may still serve Tzeentch's ultimate plan. In the great cosmic joke that is existence, the Lords of Change are the laughter. They are the proof that truth itself can be a weapon, that the greatest cruelty is not pain, but enlightenment given too soon. They remind the galaxy that ignorance is mercy, and that the pursuit of truth, though noble, always ends the same way, in servitude to the one who defines it. Because every answer they give is another step deeper into the labyrinth. Every revelation another knot in the web. And when at last you think you've found freedom, you'll hear their laughter, soft, knowing, and cruelly amused. For the Lords of Change were never teachers. They were never prophets. They are the questions themselves, the living embodiment of uncertainty. And uncertainty, in the end, belongs to Tzeentch. Chapter 5. The Thousand Suns Fall. They were once the Emperor's most brilliant sons, the bearers of reason amid the storm of conquest. Scholars, philosophers, warriors of intellect as much as strength. The Thousand Suns Legion. They sought not only to kill in the Emperor's name, but to understand. They studied the warp, not to worship it, but to master it. And in that pursuit, they caught the eye of the one who would become their doom. Tzeentch, the great conspirator, the god of change and ambition, watching with silent amusement as a legion of mortals tried to command his domain. Magnus the Red, the Crimson King, Primarch of the Thousand Suns, was unlike any of his brothers. He was a being of immense psychic might, his soul burning brighter than most demons. His gift was knowledge, and his curse was the same. He saw the warp not as madness, but as truth, a realm of infinite possibility waiting to be tamed. But the warp does not wish to be tamed. It whispers. It seduces. It listens back. And among those whispers, the voice of Tzeentch called to him. Not as a god, not as a master, but as a kindred spirit. For Magnus sought understanding, and Tzeentch's understanding twisted upon itself. Both hungered for control over destiny, both despised ignorance. In their reflection, there was kinship. In their difference, doom. When the Great Crusade was in its prime, the Emperor forbade his sons from delving into the warp's mysteries. He knew its dangers, knew what lay beyond that veil. But Magnus defied him. He believed knowledge could be used for good, that ignorance was humanity's true enemy. And so, in secret, his legion continued their studies. Spells, rituals, bindings, the art of shaping reality itself. Each act a blasphemy. Each act another thread tugged in Tzeentch's web. The changer of ways does not tempt with pleasure or rage. He tempts with reason, with the illusion that what you are doing is right. Magnus heard whispers in his meditations, visions of futures both glorious and terrible. He believed they were glimpses of his own potential, gifts from the warp. But they were the voice of Tzeentch, guiding him one choice at a time toward inevitable ruin. And then came the heresy. When Horus fell to chaos and the Imperium began to fracture, Magnus foresaw the betrayal long before it happened. Desperate to warn his father, he turned to the only power strong enough to reach across the stars, sorcery. He broke the Emperor's edicts once more and unleashed a psychic ritual so immense it tore through the fabric of reality. His message reached Terra, but so did the warp. The Emperor's secret project, the webway gate beneath the Imperial Palace, was destroyed. The Emperor's great dream of freeing mankind from the warp's corruption lay in ashes. Magnus wept. He had tried to save his father. Instead, he had doomed him. And in that moment of despair, Tzeentch's laughter filled his mind. The changer of ways had not needed Magnus to hate the Emperor, only to love him enough to disobey. It was not rebellion that damned the 1,000 suns, it was devotion misused. The perfect irony. The perfect betrayal. When the Space Wolves were sent to punish the 1,000 suns, Tzeentch watched as the flames of Prospero consumed their libraries, their cities, their dreams. Bolts of psychic fire lit the skies. Wolves howled through halls that once echoed with knowledge. Magnus tried to defend his people, but the warp answered his grief. His control shattered, and his power, that beautiful, terrible power, unleashed devastation. Prospero burned not because of war, but because of fate. Fate woven by the great deceiver himself. And when the end came, Tzeentch reached out with a hand of living flame. "Serve me," he whispered, "and your sons shall not perish." Magnus, broken and desperate, accepted. In an instant, he was remade. Flesh twisted into sorcery, sorrow into power. His body shattered and was reformed upon the planet of the sorcerers. His legion reborn within Tzeentch's realm. But salvation came with a price. The 1,000 suns were now creatures of the warp, their loyalty forever bound to the god who had orchestrated every step of their fall. The great deceiver had not merely corrupted them, he had rewritten their story. From the moment Magnus first opened his mind to the warp, his fate was sealed. Every act of curiosity, every defiance of order, every desperate plea to understand, it all led here. Tzeentch did not need to force him. He simply allowed Magnus to become who he already was. That is the cruel genius of the changer of ways. He does not twist the soul, he allows the soul to twist itself. To Tzeentch, the fall of the 1,000 suns was not tragedy, it was perfection. A symphony of irony, played across the strings of destiny. He had taken humanity's thirst for knowledge, the Emperor's pride, Magnus' love, and turned them all into instruments. Now, in the endless halls of the planet of the sorcerers, Magnus broods upon his throne, haunted by whispers of what might have been. His legion serves him still, casting spells in Tzeentch's name, seeking truths that always slip away just before they can grasp them. Every spell, every incantation, feeds their god. And somewhere, deep within the warp, Tzeentch laughs, not out of cruelty, but satisfaction. The game played perfectly. The pawn promoted to king, only to find the board infinite. For this is his art, to make even tragedy serve his will. To take loyalty and make it rebellion. To make enlightenment the road to damnation. The 1,000 suns sought knowledge to save mankind from ignorance. Instead, they became the proof that knowledge can damn as swiftly as hatred or lust. And as the dust of Prospero still drifts through the warp, glowing faintly with psychic flame, one truth remains eternal. No one outsmarts the changer of ways. Not even those who think they serve for good. Because in the end, even wisdom burns. Chapter 6. The Rubric of Ahriman. Silence hung over the planet of the sorcerers. Not the silence of peace, but of despair. The 1,000 suns had survived Prospero, yes, but at a terrible price. Their souls were warped, their bodies unstable. Mutations spread among them like a plague. Once men became beasts, their flesh melting into grotesque shapes, their minds collapsing into madness. The proud legion of scholars and mystics was dying, not through war, but through change. The cruelest irony of all. And somewhere, unseen but ever present, Tzeentch watched, his laughter soft as shifting silk. For his greatest gifts always came wrapped in suffering. Among the 1,000 sons, one mind still dared to defy fate: Chief Librarian Ahriman. Brilliant beyond measure, cold, calculating, his intellect burned with desperate purpose. He had seen his brothers crumble into mutants, seen Magnus drift into apathy, a broken god sulking in the shadows of his own failure. Ahriman refused to accept it. He would save them all, through knowledge, through mastery, through sorcery itself. That determination was what Tzeentch desired most. For Tzeentch is not the god of destruction. He is the god of solutions. And there is no greater cruelty than a solution that damns. Ahriman began to weave a spell, a rubric as he called it, a ritual vast enough to rewrite the very essence of the 1,000 sons. It would cleanse them of mutation, stabilize their forms, and make them whole again. It would be the greatest act of sorcery ever performed by mortal hands. But it would also be the perfect temptation. The changer of ways whispered no warnings. He did not stop the ritual. He did not need to. He merely watched as ambition climbed too high, as brilliance reached beyond its limits. Ahriman's circle of sorcerers gathered upon the crimson sands of the planet of the sorcerers, their chants echoing across the warp. The air shimmered with runes, symbols of impossible geometry, each glowing with Tzeentch's unholy colors: sapphire, amethyst, gold. The warp itself bent in awe. Ahriman spoke the final word of power, and the galaxy trembled. A wave of psychic energy surged outward, burning through reality like wildfire. Every 1,000 sun, across worlds, across ships, across time, was consumed by blue fire. For a heartbeat, it seemed to work. The mutations stopped. The madness ceased. But then the screams began. When the fires faded, silence returned, and with it, horror. Those 1,000 sons who had not possessed psychic gifts were gone. Not dead, hollowed. Their bodies still stood, their armor intact, but within was nothing but dust. Souls burned out, trapped forever inside their warplate. Their eyes glowed faintly, eternally, their forms frozen in perfect stillness. The once living now walked as empty shells, automata bound by sorcery, mindless slaves of fate. The rubric had worked, in Tzeentch's way. Ahriman had saved them from mutation, by destroying what made them human. And as realization struck, Tzeentch's laughter rolled across the warp, shaking the foundations of his realm. His greatest jest had been played once more. Salvation turned to damnation. The sorcerers who remained, the few psychic elites, found their powers magnified beyond measure, their mastery of the warp sharpened to terrifying precision. But the cost was the death of their brothers. It was perfection, cruel, ironic, complete. Magnus, enraged and heartbroken, struck down upon Ahriman's sanctum like a thunderbolt. The Crimson King's fury was a storm of pure warp energy, his voice a scream that tore through space and soul alike. Ahriman fell to his knees, broken not by power, but by guilt. "Do you see now what your arrogance has wrought?" Magnus roared, his single eye blazing with sorrow. "You have damned us beyond redemption." But deep within, Magnus knew, it was not truly Ahriman who had orchestrated this fate. It was Tzeentch. It had always been Tzeentch. The god of fate had turned Magnus' love for knowledge into his fall. Now, he turned Ahriman's quest for salvation into eternal irony. Magnus cast his son out, exiled him across the warp, his very presence a curse. Ahriman drifted through eternity, haunted by dust-filled echoes of the brothers he tried to save. Wherever he went, he carried the rubric's legacy, not as triumph, but as a scar carved into the soul of his legion. And through it all, Tzeentch's schemes grew richer. The rubric was not merely punishment, it was strategy. The 1,000 sons were now perfect instruments, immortal sorcerers bound to his realm, wielding his power through every spell they cast. Their dust-filled brothers were eternal servants, living symbols of futility and obedience. Every time a rubric marine marches, it is not just for war, it is a hymn to the changer of ways. Each step a reminder that even genius cannot escape his grasp. Ahriman's exile did not end him. It made him eternal. He wandered the stars seeking a cure, delving into forbidden realms, seeking fragments of truth that could undo what he had done. But every secret he found only led him deeper into Tzeentch's labyrinth. For every new understanding changes him, every revelation binds him closer. Some say that Ahriman still believes he can outwit the great deceiver, that he can one day reverse the rubric, free his brothers, and reclaim what was lost. But those who whisper such things forget, even that belief serves Tzeentch, because hope is his favorite chain. For in Ahriman's endless search lies the perfection of Tzeentch's philosophy, that every act of defiance becomes a new thread in his design, that even rebellion feeds the fire, that even salvation burns. The rubric of Ahriman stands as the single greatest act of sorcery in mortal history, and the greatest joke ever told by a god. Because when Ahriman looked into the warp, he did not see Tzeentch. He saw himself. And that is the cruelest truth of all. Tzeentch does not conquer through force or fear. He wins by reflection. He makes you believe that your choices are your own, that you can shape destiny. Until you realize, too late, that destiny has already been shaped by him. The dust never settles on the planet of the sorcerers. It drifts eternally through the air, glowing faintly, whispering softly, each grain a reminder of the rubric's curse. Some say the dust still dreams, that it remembers, that it waits. And perhaps, when the time is right, Tzeentch will change it once more. Not to free them, not to save them, but simply because he can. Chapter 7: The Architect of Chaos. In the endless, shifting tides of the warp, there are no borders, no laws, no truth, only the will of gods. And among those gods, none is as patient, as insidious, or as inexhaustibly cunning as Tzeentch, the architect of fate, the grand manipulator, the eternal schemer whose hand shapes every lie ever told. Khorne bathes in slaughter, blind to subtlety. Nurgle feasts on decay, stagnant and predictable. Slaanesh writhes in indulgence, enslaved by desire. But Tzeentch plays the long game. He does not rage or rot or revel, he plans. He moves armies without soldiers, wages wars without weapons. His tools are not axes or plagues or pleasure, but change itself, the whisper that undoes alliances, the revelation that drives prophets mad, the evolution that destroys the old to make way for the new. And yet, for all his power, his brilliance, his unfathomable mind, the greatest trick of Tzeentch is that he never fights against the other gods. He fights through them. The pantheon of chaos is no council. It is a war without end, each god feeding upon mortal emotion, each devouring what the others create. Yet within that infinite conflict, there is rhythm, there is pattern, there is Tzeentch. For while Khorne roars and Nurgle festers, Tzeentch watches. He takes every blow, every plague, every indulgence and weaves it into a grander design. When Khorne's wars spill oceans of blood, Tzeentch collects the tears of the survivors, the guilt, the sorrow, the need to understand why. Those tears become seeds for new cults, new schemes. When Nurgle's rot consumes worlds, Tzeentch spreads false hope of cures and salvation, twisting despair into ambition. When Slaanesh drags mortals into ecstasy, Tzeentch gives them visions of eternity, a desire to change pleasure into power. He is the god who feeds on the others' leftovers and turns them into feasts. They call him the Great Schemer for a reason. Every conflict in the warp, every rivalry among gods, ultimately strengthens him. When corn strikes at him, rage becomes motion, and motion is change. When Nurgle resists him, the act of resistance is itself transformation, and transformation is his domain. Even the laughter of Slaanesh carries the echo of evolution, for indulgence never stays the same. The other gods play games of domination. Tzeentch plays the game of inevitability. He does not seek victory, he seeks continuity. Eternal flux. As long as things change, as long as the cycle of rise and fall continues, he thrives. And so he ensures it never ends. Across the galaxy, his influence seeps into every shadow, every thought. A rebellion here, a heresy there. No act of defiance or innovation occurs without his spark. A planetary governor who questions imperial doctrine? His whisper. A mechanicus priest who builds a machine her superiors forbid? His curiosity. A rogue psyker who dreams of shaping reality? His hand upon their mind. And through these mortals, he sculpts history. Not as a sculptor shapes marble, but as a tide erodes stone, subtly, endlessly, until the shape that remains is his own. In the age of strife, it was Tzeentch who stoked the fires of psychic awakening. In the Horus heresy, it was Tzeentch who turned knowledge into rebellion. In the endless millennia of the Imperium's decay, it is Tzeentch who keeps the dream of progress alive, a dream that ensures its own downfall. Because change, when suppressed, becomes chaos. And that is his truest weapon. He does not force chaos upon the galaxy. He lets mortals do it themselves. Every time a man questions his faith, every time a scientist seeks to know more than he should, every time a general defies his orders to pursue a better outcome, they serve him, unknowingly. For what is rebellion, if not the worship of change? To Tzeentch, heresy is not corruption. It is evolution. His mortal followers are countless and diverse. Some call themselves scholars of forbidden lore, others prophets, reformers, visionaries. Some do not even know his name. They believe they act in pursuit of enlightenment or freedom. Yet in truth, their every step is a page in his script. A cult uprising in the hive cities of Necromunda? A political coup in the Segmentum Solar? A psyker awakening on a forgotten mining world? All threads, interwoven, purposeful. And then, of course, there are his chosen, the true believers. The Kabbalists, the warpsmiths of change, the architects of destiny. They build altars of ever-shifting crystal, study tomes written in languages that rewrite themselves as they are read. They believe themselves his favorites, his chosen instruments. But even they are pawns. The closer one comes to understanding Tzeentch, the deeper one falls into his web. Even the demons of the other gods are not free from his reach. Many wars among the Chaos hosts begin not from open hatred, but from suggestion. A word here, a vision there, a spark planted in a demon's mind that blossoms into bloodshed. And as the warp boils with conflict, Tzeentch grows stronger, feeding upon the friction of change. He is the cosmic chemist of chaos, mixing the other gods' hungers, reactions, and contradictions into a formula of endless creation and destruction. He ensures that nothing stagnates, that even the immaterium itself never rests. Mortals call him the Master of Lies, but that title is incomplete. He is not the God of lies, but of truth twisted until it breathes. A lie is simple, finite. Truth, however, is infinite, a weapon sharper than any blade when properly wielded. And Tzeentch wields it flawlessly. He gives mortals exactly what they ask for: power, knowledge, purpose, but never what they expect. Every revelation is a knife that cuts both ways. And sometimes, he even manipulates himself. There are stories told among his demons of schemes so deep that Tzeentch hides them from his own awareness, merely to experience the thrill of discovery. The god of change cannot abide stillness, even within his own mind. His schemes are recursive, self-consuming, infinite. To outwit Tzeentch is impossible, for even your triumph would become another of his moves. In imperial politics, he is a ghost. A senator on Terra who votes for reform, unknowingly pushing the ecclesiarchy toward heresy? Tzeentch's shadow guides his hand. In the Adeptus Mechanicus, a Muggos who dreams of uniting forbidden Xenos technology with human innovation? The whisper of the Changer lingers in their circuitry. In the Inquisition itself, inquisitors who question the Emperor's divinity, believing themselves seekers of higher truth, their doubt feeds him more than their faith ever could. He is everywhere ambition exists. Everywhere a mortal looks beyond the horizon and dares to imagine something new. And in that imagination, he hides, the god who requires no temple, no prayer, no name. Because belief is just another form of change. And as long as mortals believe in anything, Tzeentch endures. That is why he is the architect of chaos. Not because he built it from nothing, but because he keeps it moving. Because he ensures that every empire, every god, every ideal must fall, not from weakness, but from transformation. For to change is to live. To live is to struggle. To struggle is to feed him. And when all things fall silent, when even the other gods grow tired, the laughter of Tzeentch will still echo in the warp, soft, shimmering, eternal. Because even the end will only be another beginning. Chapter 8, His Endless Game. There are no endings in Tzeentch's dominion, only continuations, transformations wearing the masks of conclusion. Every downfall is the prologue to a new ascent. Every victory is merely another trap, disguised in the light of revelation. That is the essence of his existence, the game that never ends, the script that rewrites itself each time the page is turned. Tzeentch does not seek to win. He seeks to play. Mortals believe the gods of chaos crave conquest, that they hunger for supremacy. Corn for blood, Nurgle for decay, Slaanesh for sensation. But Tzeentch, his desire is more refined, more cruel. He hungers for the motion between those things. The turn of events. The shifting of purpose. He is the god who feeds not on what happens, but on what could. He is the dream that refuses to die. The schemer who plots against himself. The liar who tells the truth, knowing it will be mistaken for deceit. His game is eternal, because its board is everything. The warp, the galaxy, the minds of mortals, all are arenas for his play. He does not act in lines or circles, but spirals, infinite and self-consuming. And within those spirals, he weaves every event, every tragedy, every spark of rebellion into a pattern so vast that even he cannot see its end. That is not weakness. That is joy. For in uncertainty lies motion, and in motion lies eternity. When a mortal defeats one of his plans, when a hero resists corruption, when an inquisitor purges a cult, when a planet defies his influence, Tzeentch does not rage. He laughs. Because he knows that every act of defiance, every victory, creates new consequences, new possibilities. A hero who defeats his cults gains pride, pride that leads to overconfidence. An inquisitor who purges too zealously sparks rebellion. A world that resists mutation will one day stagnate, rot, and fall. His game is rigged, but not by control. It is rigged by inevitability. Because change cannot be defeated. It only delays itself. Tzeentch's demons, the lords of change, understand this truth. They never despair, even in failure. When one is banished, it laughs as it dissolves back into the warp, for it knows it has already won in another thread of fate. Even death is only movement. Destruction is transformation. To lose is to shift, and to shift is to serve the changer of ways. This is why he never stops, never rests, never grows weary of his own design. For stagnation is the only thing he truly fears. Even among the gods, his realm is the most unstable, forever folding, rewriting, consuming itself. Entire sections of the crystal labyrinth appear, vanish, and reform in new configurations, echoing the restlessness of his soul. The paths change as they are walked, the doors open into futures not yet lived. Even Tzeentch himself might wander through his halls and emerge somewhere else, changed, reborn, refreshed. For he is a god addicted to transformation, even of himself. And yet, amid this infinity of schemes, there lies an elegance. His hand touches all, but directly commands none. Mortals act freely, believing their choices are their own. They fall in love, start wars, seek knowledge, never realizing each choice was already anticipated, perhaps even desired. Not because he ordered it, but because he designed the world in which it was inevitable. He is the sculptor who never stops carving, not because he seeks a perfect statue, but because perfection would mean the end of sculpting. There are times when even the other gods pause their endless feud to watch his movements. They call him the great trickster, the master of schemes, the eternal chess master. But their insults hide their fear. For they know that while they revel in simple hungers, he hungers for them. He changes them. When Khorne's rage falters, when Nurgle's patience thins, when Slaanesh grows weary of indulgence, Tzeentch is there, igniting them anew, feeding them new reasons to fight. He ensures their existence by ensuring conflict never ends. He sustains chaos by guaranteeing it can never stagnate. This is why even the Emperor's victories serve him. Every new law, every edict to preserve stability, every attempt to freeze time itself, all of it creates resistance. And resistance breeds change. The Imperium's tyranny is his greatest ally, though they would curse his name if they knew. Every reformer who dreams of progress, every heretic who questions doctrine, every scientist who dares to push beyond the forbidden, they are his pawns, and they are infinite. And yet, there is beauty in his cruelty. For Tzeentch embodies not only the madness of change, but the hope of it. The hope that the next moment could be better, the next choice could redeem us, the next revelation could save us. He nurtures that hope because it sustains him. He lets mortals chase it endlessly, never realizing that in the chasing, they are already his. For even despair is motion, and motion feeds him still. The Adeptus Mechanicus says that knowledge is the flame that drives away the darkness. But Tzeentch knows better. Knowledge is the darkness, a fire that devours as it illuminates. Every mind that hungers to know more burns brighter in his sight. He whispers to the psychers of the Imperium, to the sorcerers of the Eye, to the philosophers and the heretics alike, weaving their dreams into his labyrinth. And as they search for truth, he feeds. Because there is no truth. There is only change. The rubric of Ahriman was one move. The fall of Prospero, another. The Horus heresy, the creation of the Imperium, the rise and fall of empires, all part of his game. Even his own defeats are victories in disguise. When a demon is banished, when a cult is destroyed, when his name is forgotten, it only makes the next resurgence more powerful. He is not a player of the game. He is the game. To him, time is clay, destiny a suggestion. He turns prophecy into puzzle, cause into consequence. And those who think they have escaped him, those who claim to have defied fate, never realize that their defiance was already written. It is said that Tzeentch keeps a mirror in his realm, made not of glass but of possibility. When he gazes into it, he does not see himself, but every version of what he could become. Sometimes he laughs. Sometimes he trembles. For even he is not exempt from his own law. Even gods change. Even chaos evolves. That is why his laughter never ends. It is laughter at his own uncertainty, his own reflection, his own infinite becoming. And as long as there is one soul in the galaxy dreaming of something more, one spark of rebellion, one act of creation, the game will continue. Because the changer of ways does not need to win. He only needs to make sure that nothing ever stays the same. Chapter 9. The Truth Beyond the Lie. There is a truth hidden beneath every deception. A constant buried within every storm of change. And if one listens closely, through the laughter, the illusions, the contradictions, one begins to understand the final lesson of Tzeentch. The truth beyond the lie. He is not evil in the way mortals understand evil. He is not a demon of malice, nor a monster of cruelty for cruelty's sake. He is the inevitable reflection of every mortal desire, the yearning to rise, to improve, to control. He is the sum of every what if, every if only, every I can change this. He is evolution given divine form. Progress turned inside out. The burning need to shape destiny, unrestrained by consequence. Tzeentch is hope corrupted by its own light. And that is why he can never die. For as long as sentient life dares to dream, dares to rebel, dares to question, Tzeentch exists. He is born anew in every act of ambition, every invention, every betrayal justified by reason. His power flows not from worship, but from will. The will to change. The will to know. The will to escape fate. It is said that in the deepest chambers of the crystal labyrinth, there lies a door that leads to nowhere. Upon it, words are inscribed in every language ever spoken, and some that have not yet been invented. They say, to know the truth is to unmake the world. And behind that door, if one were mad enough to open it, lies Tzeentch's secret, the truth that even he hides from himself. That he, too, is bound by the web he weaves. That his endless games, his eternal laughter, are not signs of joy, but of imprisonment. For change cannot stop. It cannot rest. It cannot be still. And Tzeentch, the god of change, is its prisoner. Imagine existence as an ocean, infinite and shifting. Every current flows into another. Every wave devours the one before it. Nothing remains. That is Tzeentch, a god who cannot be constant, a being forever devoured by his own nature. He creates schemes not only to manipulate mortals, but to escape his own stagnation. For to stop scheming, to stop changing, would mean death. He does not laugh because he is amused. He laughs because he must. Because the moment he stops, the flame goes out. And yet, for all his suffering, he would never wish to be free. For Tzeentch is the cycle. He is the motion that keeps the galaxy alive. Without him, there would be no invention, no rebellion, no evolution. The Imperium would calcify into eternal silence, the galaxy would fall into stillness, and even chaos itself would fade. He is both the poison and the cure, the problem and the purpose. Every machine built, every empire born, every heresy whispered in the dark, all are echoes of his essence. He is the reason mankind reached for the stars. The reason they fell from them. The reason they will rise again. Some whisper that even the Emperor's grand design was seeded by him, that the dream of the Imperium, the unifying of humanity, was a gift of the changer of ways. For what is the Emperor's vision if not the ultimate act of change? A reshaping of destiny through will alone? If so, then even the Master of Mankind is but another thread in his tapestry. A bright thread, perhaps, but a thread nonetheless. And so, Tzeentch's influence is eternal. It flows through every human soul, every alien ambition, every demon's whisper. It lives in the mind of the psyker who opens his third eye, in the priest who doubts his God, in the scientist who pushes beyond sanctioned limits. He is not worshipped through temples or rituals, though those exist. He is worshipped through every act of becoming. For to change is to acknowledge him. And in that way, every sentient being in the galaxy bends the knee, whether they know it or not. His demons still dance in the warp, their laughter echoing through time. His mortal servants still burn in his name, their souls torn apart by the same knowledge they sought to master. The thousand suns still march across alien sands, their armor hollow, their souls trapped in eternal stillness, living monuments to the irony of his gifts. Even Magnus the Red, the Crimson King, sits upon his obsidian throne, mourning the wisdom that destroyed him, yet unable to stop seeking more. Because even in regret, there is desire. And where there is desire, Tzeentch smiles. The Imperium calls him a deceiver, a corrupter, a liar, and they are right. But what they do not understand is that every lie he tells begins as a truth that mortals cannot accept. His deceit is not to mislead, but to reveal in fragments, to show the unbearable reality piece by piece. The truth that nothing is eternal, that everything changes, that even gods must transform or perish. That is the truth beyond the lie. When the stars fade and the warp quiets, when the last human thought flickers in the void, perhaps only then will the laughter cease. But even that end would not be an end, only another metamorphosis. For Tzeentch is the ever-turning wheel, the dream that dreams itself, the lie that becomes truth by being believed. He is the shimmer between hope and madness, the glimmer at the edge of understanding, the fire that both enlightens and consumes. And in that light, he waits, eternal, infinite, restless. Because as long as there is something to change, someone to dream, or anything left to become, Tzeentch will never die. He will only change.